Designed from the ground up, the D'Addario Backline Gear Transport Pack is the ultimate solution for players on the move. With more than 8 specialized storage and transport compartments built right in, it makes getting everything to the gig painless and intuitive.
Right on. Hey, everybody, what's up? This is Perry with Premier Guitar here in Nashville, Tennessee. Today we have Candy Rat's recording artist, Sammy Boller. Hello, how are you today, buddy?
Hey, Perry. Thanks for having me on, man. It's awesome.
Dude,
I really appreciate it.
Thanks for being on. Kingdom of the Sun, which came out in March, your first instrumental solo record, is just awesome. Somebody sent me a link when it first came out, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy because I'm a big Candy Rat Records fan, but you know, typically, especially in the past couple of years, they've been hyper focused on like acoustic dudes and you know, kind of abstract players. So, congratulations, that's so huge, man.
Oh, thank you so much, man. Yeah, I feel like really honored to be on that roster, man. Like, it's usually, like you said, like when I first discovered them, it's mostly like acoustic artists, you know, but I think like the past few years they've been trying to go like more electric. So yeah, it's just, I feel really lucky like that they decided to put the album out. It's been really cool.
Dude, well, good on them for finding you, and also good on them for you know, kind of expanding out a little bit. I feel like they've done so much for guitar culture and really kind of ignited a whole generation into, you know, weird fingerstyle playing and stuff. So that, good on you guys.
I know, man. They're like, when I first saw Andy Mcgee, my mind just like exploded totally. You know, like, it was insane.
This is my hot take, but I think that the popularity of Toto's Africa probably like came back into the forefront of like guitar culture because of that guy. You know what I mean?
that cover is insane. Yeah, I remember the first time I saw that, I was just like, oh
Yeah.
my god, who knew you could even do that on a guitar? You know?
Right. I mean, it just kind of opened up a whole world of playing for me. I remember when I first found that, like making all my friends watch it. Like, have you seen this shit? Oh my god! Like,
I know, dude. When I was in high school, like I tried to figure out how to play drifting, like which was, I think that's like one of the first videos that he put out. Do you know that song?
yeah, and I learned maybe like the first 20 seconds of it, and it took like 6 months.
Dude, I know. I could never get past like the first part. But yeah, Andy's incredible. They've got so many great guitar players that play that style. It's pretty wild.
Right. I mean, so that it's got to be a huge honor for you.
It is. Yeah, it really is.
You deserve it, man. Your shred is undeniable, and obviously you've garnered a huge social media following, which is awesome. You guys should definitely check out Instagram and your YouTube and all that fun stuff. But going down that rabbit hole, I've kind of always seen you with this badass Les Paul access. So like, tell me all about this. This has got to be your number one, right?
This is my main axe. Yeah, this is like kind of the going to the grave guitar. You know what I mean? Like, I've had it. I think I got it when I was 20 years old. And I found, like, I got it for a steal on eBay, man. Like, somebody had it made custom, and they were selling it. And at the time, like, I had never seen a black Les Paul Access before, because usually they're either, like, they look like a Les Paul Standard, first of all, and they're usually, like, sunburst, or I think they have, like, a gray one as well. But I always kind of, like, dreamt about having a black Les Paul Custom, you know, like a Black Beauty. And then when I saw this, where it had the Floyd and all that, it was just, like, match made in heaven, you know,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, that thing is super sick. I love the white binding, so classy.
I love this thing, man. Yeah, it's definitely been like my number one guitar on the road and stuff for a long time. So, yeah, I love it, man. It's pretty much like a stock Les Paul Access, but I flipped the pickups out a couple of years ago. I met this guy Wade Rustbrook. He's from Motor City Pickups. Have you ever heard of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome, and they're like, I'm from Detroit, so it's like it's cool because we can like hang out and stuff. He lives like not that far away, but yeah. So I put 2 of his pickups in. So it's a hothead in the bridge, and then an Afueyu in the neck. And like usually like these are both like pretty high output pickups, you know, like I was always more of like a medium kind of output type guy, but these have like all the power you get from like high output pickups, but they have the clarity of like a lower middle range type pickup. So it's like kind of like the best of both worlds. So yeah, my mind was blown when I first heard these for sure.
Yeah, I guess that's got to work good for you because you're tonally and sonically kind of doing a lot with one guitar. You know, you obviously have these beautiful, clean soundscapes, but you're also shredding. So that must be kind of hard to find a really good fit for that, you know.
You kind of have to, yeah, you have to find like kind of a balance, you know. Like with some of the stuff I'm doing now, it goes from like kind of like what you said, where it's like really clean and then it gets really heavy like pretty quickly. So it's like, I don't know, you just kind of have to find pickups in a guitar that kind of works for both, you know. But this definitely does that. I think a big thing that helps with that is like for the clean sounds. This guitar has coil taps in it, so I'll usually like tap the neck when I'm on clean. And then I'm kind of like from like the Van Halen school where it's like just if you're playing distorted, it's just all bridge humbucker, you know. So I'll usually just crank it to the bridge if I'm going distorted. But yeah, having the coil taps helps a lot with that for sure.
It looks like you got a D-tuner on there too. That's pretty handy.
Yeah, my old band used to play in drop D a lot, so I know everybody who plays like with a Floyd Rose knows it's a pain in the ass like to unlock on stage. So yeah, this is a killer thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people ask too. Like I keep it blocked. Like with the D-tuner, you have to have it blocked. But I struggled for like a little while, like playing on the road when it was full floating, and I could just never get it to stay in tune. So I finally just blocked it, and that has helped so much, you know. And I think it helps like the sound a little bit too, just having it right on wood.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Probably offers a little more sustain, I would imagine, right?
I think so. Yeah. It might just be in your head or whatever. But yeah, I love this thing, man. Yeah, this is probably my number one for sure.
Yeah, that thing's great. All right, so God forbid you break a string or something like that. Do you have a go-to backup or?
Yeah, I kind of have like two main guitars, man. So this is probably like my first one just because I've had it a long time. But I started playing. Let me show you. Last year I got a Friedman NoHo 24, which is like kind of one of their newer models. I got it right here, one sec. I had never really had like a super strap before, and I saw these at NAMM, and I was talking. I'm good friends with Dave Friedman, so I was telling him like, man, those are so amazing. Like I'd love to play one. So I ended up getting this last year. And the cool thing about this thing is it's like usually with the NoHos, they're like really flamey tops, you know, like really like glossy and just like beautiful looking. But like I'm kind of like I like guitars more beat up, you know. So I asked him like, do you think we could just do a white one? He goes, yeah, I got an idea. And then it ended up being this where he came up with the idea of having it glossed underneath and then just throwing like the white on top of it. And I'd never really seen a guitar like that before, so when I first got it, I was just like knocked out. My buddy Jeff from Friedman like sent me some pictures. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe that's how it turned out. So yeah, this is an amazing act.
So I gotta ask, like, you know, your music is so beautiful and you know, so full of tapping and stuff. Are you playing in standard tuning, or are you switching between tunings?
Yeah, just down a half, man. Like I'm too nervous. Like I'm kind of like clumsy on stage and stuff. So when I'd be too nervous like having an alternate tuning on stage and going and like forgetting, you know. I feel like that's something I would totally do, so I just keep it down, you know.
That's something I've totally done. A couple of years ago I was getting into like dadgad and dadgay and stuff like that, and I would write stuff with my band and then like totally forget what tuning I was in and screw myself over. It was a nightmare.
It's a blast. Like I know that's my fear too. It's like it's a blast like messing around with it at home and stuff like dadgad and alternate tunings.
Yeah.
But I'm like too nervous about doing it live. And it's like all my heroes like I'm a big like Van Halen nut, so it's like he was always just down a half step. So I figured it's like let's just try to be like him, you know.
Keep it there, right on. So what pickups did Dave put in this guy?
These are they're Friedman pickups. They're triple D. So they're similar to what I have in the Black Les Paul, but they're a little bit different. They're a little bit more like I'm trying to think of the right word, like a little bit more direct sounding, whereas like the Motor Cities are a little wider, I guess.
Like more focused.
Focused, yeah, that's right. That's a good way to put it. But yeah, this thing it's great. Like live, I'm not a guy that like likes to switch, like have a total change difference when you're switching guitars. Like I kind of like to just have it one, you know, like one sound and just go like when you're switching on stage. So these like go really well together. Yeah, it's really nice, man.
And if I'm not mistaken, I see like a Tele Deluxe and like a 335 behind you. Are those guitars that come out often?
I brought those because since we're in the studio, I figured like these are like basically the two main guitars that I use live. But I brought those because like for doing sessions and stuff. Let me just show you. I'm gonna grab the Tele 1 second.
Yeah, I love a Tele Deluxe, man. Those are fun.
I just got it, man. Yeah. I got it. I don't have a strap on this thing. I'll just hold it. But
Sure.
yeah, this is like my quarantine find for 2020 for hiding out at home. I bought this from like my parents were on the road for years. They played in like a Vegas and like Atlantic City show band, and their guitar player hit me up like I think it was in like April or May saying, "Hey, I'm selling the guitar I used to play with your parents. Do you want to buy it?" So I got this. This is a 75.
Oh, sweet.
It's amazing, man. Yeah, it's a beautiful axe. He had modded it out like a little bit, like it had a different neck. I think the original neck he had like snapped the headstock off, so it had like a different neck on it and stuff. But I've kind of just been for fun like restoring it the past couple months. So this is seriously one of the best sounding guitars I've ever played because it's got like the Seth Lover pickups in it, like the original like split humbuckers.
If I'm not mistaken, weren't those like wide range pickups or something they called them?
That's what it is, yeah, exactly. This is like an amazing recording guitar for all kinds of stuff, like not only clean, but like if you're using, that's like a combination I like to do for recording a lot is using like a low output guitar with like a high gain amp, you know, because you can really just get power that way. So this has worked great. And I do like, I've been doing like some production work like the past couple months too. And for some reason, like with all like the bands that I've worked with, they always love playing this thing. So
yeah, man,
it's cool,
fun.
man. It's a cool find, man. Yeah, and I've never had a Tele before, so it's like I feel really lucky to finally have one.
That's a pretty good compromise if you've never had a Tele before, since it's got humbuckers.
Yeah, it's like the most. My buddy John, a drummer I play with like all the time for years. He's like, dude, you finally got a Tele, and it's like the most rock and roll Tele you can find. So good work. I was like, yeah, that's cool.
Oh, and what is this big old jazz box you got here?
So this is a. I figured I'd pull this out. This is like kind of like another studio guitar. It's a ES 150 DC, so it's a 1971. It's like a total jazz box, so it's like basically like a 335, but it's like super thick. I don't know if you can go to the camera. It's like twice as thick as a 335. And I got this out because I got it as a gift when I was in high school. The orchestra teacher at my school, like when I first like came in as like a freshman, like I was playing like I think he heard me like playing like some like Van Halen or something, you know. And he's a guitar player as well, and he came up, he's like, do you know like what you're doing, like like any of the technical stuff you're doing, you know. And I was like, no, of course. So we kind of we just became really good friends, and he showed me like he got me like reading music on guitar and like trying to learn like how to play through like jazz changes and stuff. And we just became really good friends. His name's Peter Tolius. And when I graduated, he gave me this as a gift. So
wow.
Like 4 years later. Yeah, it's like one of the nicest things anybody's ever done for me. So
That's
I play
so
this
cool.
all the time. I think he wanted me to use it as a jazz box, but for now what's cool about it is like it's become like a really nice recording guitar because it's kind of like that Tele where it's like low output, but you can use it to rock out too. I probably wouldn't use it live because it would just hum, but for recording it's pretty cool.
I was gonna say through that Friedman, it might scream at you a little bit, but
I know, yeah, you just gotta try to control it. But yeah, it's a beautiful guitar, man. What's kind of weird about it, it has a master volume, which I've never really seen on any other
weird
axe before. It's really weird, yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen that Gibson. That is a very fat body style. I bet it has like some kind of acoustic-y qualities, huh?
It sounds really good acoustic. We've mic'd it up just like, like sitting around before, and it sounds really cool. It's kind of like a cool layering thing too, to like layer with different guitars. But yeah, it's a beautiful axe, man.
Given how clean jazz boxes typically are, have you experimented at all with tapping on that? Because I bet it sounds really beautiful.
I used it on a couple songs on the album that I just put out, yeah.
That's cool.
I'm trying to think which song exactly. I think it's on a song called The Empress and some of the clean stuff, and I think, maybe just that, but I use it more for layering rhythm guitars and as opposed to the tapping, but it does have kind of a cool tapping sound as well. So it's a nice axe, man.
For sure, I love the color. That's so awesome.
I love it too. Yeah, it's like I think it's like walnut or chocolate brown or something like that, but yeah, it's beautiful.
Very cool. Well, yeah, you've got like quite a palette of tonal tools there at your disposal. That's awesome.
I don't need anything else. Yeah, I finally like during quarantine, as soon as I got that Tele, I was like, okay, I can't, no more guitars. It's like my apartment's just filling up. It's like too much, but it's cool.
Cool. Well, I think that about covers guitars. Why don't you throw on that Les Paul again, and we'll move on to the Friedman. I've known you as a BE 100 dude for kind of a while. I think even in Citizen Zero videos, you were playing that amp, right?
Yeah, I've had this amp probably, I think this is a 2014 or 15 Friedman, so I've probably had it like 5 or 6 years.
Those suckers sound so good.
This is my favorite amp, man. It's like before I found this, it's like I tried everything, you know, just years and years of experimenting trying to find like the right amp. But yeah, as soon as I plugged in one of these, it was like, all right, I'm done. Please, like I'm one of those people where it's like I'm obviously like every guitar player where it's you're searching for the sound, you know, searching for the tone, it never ends. But for some reason, like with this, it's like, okay, I'm done, you know, it's enough. So yeah, it's a badass amp, man.
When I first kind of got hip to Dave and his amps, I think it was because I heard the Jerry Cantrell signature, and I almost fucking fell over. Oh, it sounds so good.
That amp is insane. Dave and I went to see Alice in Chains like 2 years ago, I think, in Indiana. It's probably 2 years ago now, which is a little scary. Wow, but they were watching him sound check, and we were standing like Jerry has his cabs behind the stage, like isolated, and we're just standing back there listening to him play. And it is one of the most, like, it's probably the gnarliest guitar sound I've ever heard in my life. It's just
I love it.
Oh my God. Yeah. Just hearing it isolated like that, just like hitting you in the chest, it was like, oh my God. Yeah, that amp's incredible. And especially hearing him play it, it's like, wow, man. Yeah, it's crazy.
So I guess let's talk about this amp. Like, why did you land on this? I mean, because, you know, Dave has, you know, especially now, a number of offerings and all kinds of stuff. So I think I've read it. I think I've read that you're a real amp guy. You don't really mess with modeling and stuff like that. But of all the real amps in the world, there's, you know, a lot of stuff that could probably, you know, get you to where you're going. But what specifically is it about this Friedman?
You know, I loved it because, like, the first off, like, I've never been like a big pedal distortion guy. So like I was always looking for an amp where it's like, it's all just in the amp and you can just plug in and go, you know? But this was like kind of the real, like the first like high voltage plexi that had an effects loop, you know, and different channels. Like a few years ago, it was like there weren't really many options for that, you know. And I had seen like a couple clips online and just heard it and just being like, oh my God, it's incredible. So when I finally tried one, I was like, all right, that's it. I'm just gonna go with it. And yeah, it's been, and it's also like extremely consistent. Like sometimes when you're dragging tube amps around on the road, they can be finicky, you know. But this, it's like I've never had an issue with it once.
Yeah, hell yeah. So how many channels is that? 2?
It's 3 channels. So It's clean, dirty, and then like a dirtier channel.
Are you using a foot switcher to go between those live?
I'm using, yeah, so I always kind of had like, until I met Dave, like I pretty much just had like a thrown together piece of shit pedal board, basically, you know, like all duct taped. And we started doing clinics like a couple of years ago and he saw it, he's like, dude, come on, man, you gotta get, cause he's known for making like some of the most badass rigs ever, you know? So he helped me, I sent him all my pedals and he like helped me put together this rig. But yeah, I'm using a switcher now, which has been like a total lifesaver. So yeah, it switches the channels and like the effects at the same time.
So I guess that kind of takes us to effects. I mean, other than your cab, I know, you know, obviously Dave makes killer cabs, but yours has like what, vintage 30s and something else in it, right?
It's vintage 30s and Dreamback 25s. Yeah, I've always been a 25 guy personally, like for recording. Like I think those are probably my favorite speaker. But this is cool because you kind of get the best of both worlds, you know.
Yeah, I love mixed cab sets. I think they always, you know, do something so special. Especially because, you know, vintage 30s can sometimes get a little shrill, you know, but I think a 25 watt probably evens that out quite a bit, huh? And gives you a little mid hump.
Yep, it does. Yeah, it's like you kind of get the clarity from the 30s and kind of like the push from the 25s. So right. I don't know. Yeah, but it's a great cab, man.
I guess what I love about your music is it's like so technically proficient and cool, but it also is so similar to like, you know, like Russian circles and Minus the Bear and stuff that I love that utilizes like, you know, complex tapping and stuff like that. So are you using a looper?
I'm not using a looper live, no. And I love Russian circles too, by the way. I just saw them. I saw them right before quarantine on the last tour. It was amazing. But no, what they do live is incredible. The guitar player's doing a lot of loops and stuff like that, which is crazy. With my band now, it's like it's a 3-piece as well, but we just kind of do like just kind of more bare bones going for it, you know, where it's just one guitar, bass, and drums. So it sounds a little bit different than the record, but I like that. Like that's rock and roll, you know. For sure,
yeah. Well, so if you don't have a looper, what do you got going on at your feet? I gotta know.
Yeah, so as far as like the signal chain goes, it's really nothing too crazy. I use a wireless live, just a Line 6 relay. I think it's a G50, and I started using one just because I trip on a cable way too much. It's really embarrassing. So that's been a lifesaver. So that's a great wireless. And then I go into a Korg pitch black tuner, which I know a lot of people would say it's like a tuner, it's whatever, it's just a tuner. But for some reason with this one, it's so bright you still use it outside. Like when you first start playing outside, it's like a pain in the ass when you can't see your tuner, you know.
Yeah,
so
it's the worst.
yeah, this one's great. And then what else is in front? So I have a Phase 90, like an EVH Phase 90, which I don't use that much. Like I turn it on just like for a second, you know, and like a song or two just to change it up, which is bad. And it's a great sounding one. And then this is kind of like the wild card spot on my board. I just got the Friedman small box pedal, which, have you heard that thing yet?
Oh yeah, dude, it's so sick.
Dude, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I don't have it hooked in like any of my settings right now, but yeah, it's awesome. I'm doing like a demo of it, so I threw it on here just to kind of mess with it, you know, and you know, run it through the rig or whatever. But yeah, it sounds great.
Hell yes.
And then this is probably like the most useful pedal. Like when I first started doing like the instrumental set like a couple years ago, like I wasn't sure how I was going to do the clean tapping live, you know. So it was like kind of like I experimented with a bunch of different settings to try to make it sound, you know, like. It's one thing like when you have a big distorted guitar and you can just wail, you know, and it fills up the room, but I had never really tried to do that clean before, you know.
Yeah.
So this thing has been a lifesaver. It's an Empress compressor, which is like, I tried a few different ones, but for some reason, like this one just seems to be the best. So I use this on like whenever I'm playing clean, I have the Empress compressor on. And then it goes into the ISP Decimator G string, so like when I was a kid, like I know you're like a 5150 guy too, like playing like a 5150 or whatever, it's like you'd have so much, it's so noisy, it's like you can barely use it. So I used to use two different decimators, like one in the loop and then one out front just to like try to control it, you know, but this is basically like two decimators in one. So it goes into the front of the amp and then it runs in the effects loop as well.
Oh, cool.
So it's awesome. So that I just leave it on. And when you run it like that, it allows you it doesn't suck the tone when you go to clean because it's running through both, so it can kind of like tell. So yeah, it's a great pedal, man. And then for the effects loop, I have 3 pedals in there. So it runs through a TC Electronics Flashback X4. And I like that thing because since I'm using like a MIDI switcher, you can have a couple different preset delays, that's like pretty cool, you know, for different songs you can have different sounds. So I basically just use like 2 delays. But yeah, that's a great pedal, man. And it's consistent. That's another thing, like I've had it for years. It always is great. And then I leave like an MXR Carbon copy on just all the time. And then a Holy Grail just on all the time, just barely. I think it's more of just like a feeling thing. Like you can barely hear them, but it's just like looking down and knowing they're on. It's nice to have a little bit of kind of like space, you know?
Totally, yeah. I mean, without, you know, like reverb or something like that, if you're just going no nuts, it feels naked. It feels like so weird without like just a little something.
I don't like playing. Yeah, I don't really like, at least live, like the main thing with live is like you just want it to feel good and you want to feel comfortable, you know, so just having those on. Like I'm a big Satriani fan, and like he uses delays kind of as more of like an ambient like reverb type thing too, you know, so that's what I kind of tried to do, you know, like just using the carbon copy, so that works great. But for like the real more delay, it's like delay sounds, it's the flashback. Yeah, so as far as like, I guess I should mention too, so I'm running, this is the first time I've ever had like a switching system before, and it's been a total lifesaver, because like some of the songs we play in the set, they go from like really clean and like really ambient to totally dry and really heavy. So I used to have to do the pedal dance, and it was just a pain. So Dave introduced me to this thing. It's a Musicom Labs EFX MKV. So it's like the bigger one, the bigger switcher. And yeah, it's been like a total lifesaver. So I just have like, I use 6 settings live. Basically, I only use like 3. I can just take you through them if you want.
Yeah, let's hear them.
So this is like just the main clean sound. So it's a compressor and then like the 2 delays and reverb all at once. So this is like my main patch for clean. it's cool.
Yeah,
the
very
compressor it comes in like a lot of handy because it feels like you have distortion still. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been a lifesaver. And then like I have like kind of like the second setting I have on here is more just like I would say let me tune up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's more of like a it's kind of like a medium gain type sound is the middle channel on the amp. But I use it like whenever I'm like tapping distorted parts. That's what I usually go to. So, so it's like you kind of get the punch, but it's still clear, you know, like even though it's really distorted. So that's like kind of my second setting. And then the third one is like kind of like my lead sound, I guess. So it's like the third channel on the amp, the HB, and then it's all just using the same delay and reverbs in the effects loops. So I don't know how well you can hear it through the AirPods, but it's pretty loud in here. But
yeah, man, that sounds so cool.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that's basically like my three main settings. I have like there's a couple songs where they use more of like a heavier, like even heavier delay than that. Like I can just show you like this is like I use this on a song called Iolite. So this is actually like if you just want to hear the delay, it's like it goes for a long time. But
That's
what's cool is like when you have that going, it kind of like it adds like a lot of space to it, you know. So yeah, that's a cool setting. I only use it for like a second, but yeah, I have a distortion setting on here too, using that like same delay, but. It's a lot when you have like a heavy sound, you know, but so you kind of just have to play like really long notes and stuff like that, you know, but it's cool.
So, how was the learning curve with the switcher? Because I mean, obviously it's super handy now that you know it. But like, was it pretty tricky to program all those sounds, or was it relatively straightforward?
The Musicom one is really easy to put together. It's probably that's why I like it so much, because it's probably like the most straightforward one to program. I know some of them you really have to go through pages and it's hard, but this one's pretty easy. There's different ways to use it too. Like I know some people use it like they'll use one bank per song and move through it, but I kind of treat it more just like a 3-channel amp, like, you know.
Yeah.
But and then like sometimes like if I'm not like I'll do a gig where it's not like my band or whatever, it's pretty easy to just go to another bank and have different settings, you know. So
cool.
Yeah, I love this thing, man. I totally recommend it. It's like really it's worth it. Not having to, you know, like fall on yourself, you know, dancing around.
Yeah, totally. Oh man. Well, Sammy, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking the time to do this with us and show us all your rad gear. Obviously, you know, we're all in lockdown and probably headed into a deeper lockdown here in the near future. But like, what's your schedule looking like? Are you doing a lot of live streaming stuff, or like?
Yeah, I've been doing some streaming for my apartment, which has been fun. I have a song coming out next week that we just cut here, which I'm excited to put out. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna do more. We're working on like a new album, so I'm hopefully like by early next year we'll have it all wrapped up. So. I'm trying to get all that together. So that's kind of like the near future, I guess, till the end of the year is trying to, you know, get all the demos done and stuff.
Yeah, well, hopefully if everything goes well, you'll have 2 full records to tour on. You know what I mean? So
that's kind of the plan, man. I think with everybody, it's like they kind of took their 2020 plans and moved them just a year back. But for me, it's like my album came out like like right when quarantine started, so nobody knew what was gonna happen. Like initially, it was like, oh, it'll only be a couple of weeks, and then, you know, but. Yeah, I feel lucky though, because by the time we are able to tour again, I'll have kind of like what you said. It's like 2 albums. The set will be better.
Yeah, for sure. Why don't you tell everyone in the audience like where they can, hear more and hear your new single when it drops next week?
I think the best place to find it is probably just on Instagram. It's just under my name, Sammy Boller. Yeah, from there you can get the links to all that, like Spotify and Apple Music and all that. But yeah, it's coming out November 20th, so I don't know when. This will probably be out by then, so.
Yeah, right on. So you guys have to keep an eye out for that. Also, keep an eye out for other rig rundowns, riff rundowns. We have video lessons and how-to videos and anything you need to satiate your guitar nerdery. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for having me on, man. It's an honor. It really means a lot.